Hello guys, it is me, Aaron from the Deep Sea Haven, and my guest,
Derek Potter. I'm bad at this.
It's okay.
You'll see that.
We're not perfect. We do not expect perfection on this channel. How I feel is, I want the real you. I don't care if the real you stutters every 2 words. As long as you're a wholesome person, you're good in my book and you belong in my crew. Well, so what you guys see here is, yes, D&D. I know it's been a while since I mentioned, hey, D&D on the channel, same as I said, podcast and all that. It is coming, I promise. Yes, we're at 111 subscribers. It's going to take some time, I promise. But as you guys will see, our content is getting better as the days go on. So right here, as you see, this is all the stuff that you will need. This is a little bit more optional. Same with the dice and the roller kind of area. But we'll get into that. Same with, I guess, the paper. Everything, technically, you can use online for. But for this, a lot of DMs do prefer having paper and physical dice. It's just all up to personal preference. Your DM will tell you before you start the game what he usually prefers. And if you feel, hey, I can't really afford dice, your DM most of the time, or somebody that you're playing with, will offer you a set that they have extra.
Like, I specifically have a set of 10 sets of dice that are for players if I DM and they don't have one.
Because we understand that people forget, and sometimes, like, I want to start playing D&D, but I'm just strapped for cash. Well, we got you. We're a community here. And most people who play in D&D are. So right here, we have a notepad. That is kind of for, like, anything that you might find interesting that you need. Rolling for your character. Oh, this is
There's all different kind of stuff you can take note for.
Oh, this feels like it's a pretty important part of the story. Let me jot this down so I don't forget. Because my character will remember, but me personally, I might forget. I'm the daft wolf.
My character has a 20 intelligence. I do not.
Exactly, that's perfectly fine. So right here we have your character sheet, we have the main character sheet, we have your spell, then we have some background stuff, age, height, stuff like that. Skin?
Yep.
Oh, the color of your skin probably.
Because there are different races that can have different skin colors.
So then we move on to the die, where you roll your dice. Then we have dice themselves. There is 7, right?
7 different dice.
So I'm just going to take out this extra set so you guys can see what a regular set of die look like. Let's get this out of here and just go one by one, right?
Yep. First, the one you're going to be rolling the most is the D20. 20-sided die. Kind of self-explanatory.
It cannot be spin down, by the way. If you're a Magic player, it has to be randomized.
A correct set will always add up, for the top and bottom, will add up to 1 more than what the die is. So if it's D20, it will always add up to 21. So 2, 19, 21, 4, and 17. And all the dice will do that. 1, 6 for the D6.
Okay. So the first die is why it's most important. It's the thing that allows you to hit, figure things out, and it's just one of the main die. So then we move into like the other die.
The next biggest die is a D12, which is actually one of the least used die because there are very few things that use it.
It's more for a damage dice.
Yep. It tends to be a damage die.
You'll realize that as you play. And then we have...
Next down is the percentile dice, which you use 2 D10s. The one with 2 digits is for the hundreds, or tens and hundred, and the single is for the ones. So, for percentile, that's a 42. And then there's just the regular D10, which is one number.
And then we move down to the D8. D8's more of the damage die you'll be playing with. D8, D6, and D4 are all the most common. You roll, it's a 1, and then you add your modifier, but you guys will be realizing your modifier shortly. Then we move on to the D6. Once again, everybody...
The most common die. Everybody knows what a D6 looks like.
Exactly. You want to play some Yahtzee? Then we move on to the D4. To me, honestly, one of my favorite die of this game. I like the triangle, and I think...
And you have a Caltrop.
Yeah. So that's really cool. So we go into here. So those are dies right there. Then we move on to the Player's Handbook. The Player's Handbook will have all the information you really need for the base starting of the game. There's other books, but we'll be talking about those later.
Yeah.
How many other books are there? Just so that way they know.
There are 9 other D&D books with content that a player would potentially be able to use. There are numerous other story books.
So it's up to you as a DM if you feel it,
DM or player.
Exactly. So, okay, so now we move on. As we look at the character sheet, the first thing we see, I'm going to kind of hold these up so that way you guys aren't getting a whole bunch of other stuff that you don't need to see yet. So, as the first thing you look at is your name. Your name is important, yes, and most people will be like, well, I want to go with my name first. Me personally, and I know Derek over here, we feel like class and race kind of come first.
Yeah, build what you want to build and then figure out their name after. Because you could have a cool name and it just doesn't fit the character. Like,
I have Sun Wukong. He's a Tabaxi ninja. A little weird if you ask me. But, to each their own. So when we open up the player's handbook, you get a whole bunch of pretty much sorting on the character races, classes, personality traits, backgrounds, equipment, a whole bunch of fun things that you'll be spending quite a bit of time looking at. Even if you've already made a class and a race and a class and everything, it's still always good to look back on these for the fact of your campaign's not going to last forever.
Yep.
So it's always good to have another idea of another character you want to do, so that way you're not the guy sitting there taking 3 hours to make a character.
Yep, I like building characters, so I'm constantly throwing together a character, and just even if I'm not, I have like 6 I haven't played yet, but I have as ideas.
On page 15, you'll also find your proficiency bonuses. You'll realize what that is on your character sheet, just letting you guys know just in case you're looking. Another thing is we do not mind PDFs or anything along the lines of that's digital. It's just we're using these for the fact of this is the preferred method that we use. You can use any method, like I said. So
there are plenty of apps for character creation. One of the most popular right now is D&D Beyond, because the closest to the official thing to use as you can get.
Mm-hmm. I have that app. So does Derek. We have the paid version. Definitely worth it. It's only like $3-4. So the first race we look at is dwarf. Personally, I'm not feeling dwarf today. Are you?
Nah.
Yeah. So let's continue to look on. We have elf. Elf is a cool class, and they have quite a few cool little abilities where they can't be charmed, right? And they can't be put to sleep.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I'm not feeling elf either. Are you?
No, let's do something.
Exactly. Let's do something we don't really see. On elves, there's 3 different types of elves. There's drow, woodland, and high. High is kind of like a noble. Woodland is the elves that we kind of more imagine, and drow are kind of more from the underground tunnels.
So the dark elves that you tend to see.
You tend to see in like games like Skyrim and stuff. We have a halfling, a half human, half dwarf, right?
I'm not actually sure what they're half of. They're.
I mean, they're kind of like the size of like.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say either dwarf or gnome. I'm not feeling a halfling either, to be honest. I don't want a little midget person. Nothing wrong with them. It's just for the type of class that we're seeing. No. Human. That's boring.
They do get a lot of perks.
They do get a lot of perks, but for this video, Dragonborn, no. Dragonborns are also really cool because they do have a breath attack and stuff like that. They make really good sorcerers, in my personal opinion. Because they're just a really cool class. Then we have Gnome.
Gnome is what you see as the Christmas elf. That is what a gnome actually looks like. And if your only depiction of an elf is Santa's elves, those are gnomes, not elves.
So we watch
elves
the
are
next one.
Really tall.
Yeah, elf is usually about like 6'4", 6'7", somewhere around there. Then we have a halfling. Halflings are half elf, half human usually. Because I know there's other variants.
If your DM allows, you can do half something else.
Mm-hmm. Then we have half orcs. Me personally, I really like half orcs.
Yeah, they can be interesting.
But you definitely can have some interesting designs. Then we go to tiefling.
I think that's the last one for the player's handbook.
They don't have Asmir?
Asmir is
unfortunate.
in Lolos.
Okay, so out of all these, which one are you thinking? Actually, how many races are there?
Go back to the reference.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You want to roll the 8-sided die? We're going to make this random, so that way it keeps things interesting. Number 3, so 1, 2. We are being a halfling.
Okay.
Not the most preferred, not the most crazy, but once again, the one that we got. Halfling. Okay. So they're small. Yeah, they're very small. They weigh usually about 40 to 45 pounds. So they're very small little creatures. Huh. So at this point, you're looking at your character. They give you some name options. Or like, okay, these are different names and stuff.
These are the most common names for these races.
Once again, you do not have to go off of this. They also have like family names going off of the fact of, I think these are last names technically. Yeah, Good Barrel, Green Bottle, things like that. So once again, pretty interesting. And they usually stand about 3 feet tall. So they're a very short and stout little race.
And there are a few sub races for them.
Mm-hmm.
We had, and in the player's handbook, they are the Lightfoot and the Stout Halfling.
Yep. So we're gonna add this on the little sketch pad. They're gonna ability score 2 to Dexterity. And I'm looking to see if there's anything else with that.
Depending on if you choose Lightfoot or Stout, they'll get a +1 to something else.
Do you want to go Lightfoot?
Yeah, let's do Lightfoot.
Okay, so
Lightfoot's get another +1 to Charisma.
So these guys can talk their way around. So their age, they're 20. They reach 20 when they're an adult. So a little bit quicker than humans, because technically we reach, I think it says in this book, 18. So they age a little bit quicker or slower?
Slower.
Okay. Slower than humans. That's actually interesting. I thought they would age a little bit quicker because they're smaller. But
I think they have what's their life expectancy on this one?
it didn't really say.
Live into the middle of his or her second century. So they can live up to 200 years.
Yeah. Actually, you gotta think, average for a human in D&D is like 100.
Yeah.
So you double it. Okay. And then their alignments are usually lawful good. Meaning, they're a good-hearted person. They do the best to make sure everybody's happy, but you have to follow the law. So what are we thinking for the alignment on this one? Once again, you do not have to follow these alignments. Will you be a little bit more of a social outcast from your people? Of course. But once again, I think we should personally wait until we get our background.
Yeah. Let's figure out our background and our class before.
Okay, so are we okay with 3 foot tall and around 40 pounds?
Sure.
We're going to go with the average. Being too tall for your people and being too small, your DM might give you a little bit of penalties because you're abnormal.
Yep.
So, let me move on to speed. Their base walking speed is 25. That's also another thing that you're going to need to be keeping track of, because in combat you have movement. They have a special ability called Lucky. When you roll a 1 on a 20-sided for an attack roll, or an ability check, or a saving throw, you can re-roll that die and use the new roll. It does not say once per encounter, so that means as many times as you want.
Yeah, they get, that's
Did you put the feet on there? As Lucky? Or is it is it an ability?
Well, that'll go under features and traits, so
Okay.
we'll get to that.
And then they have Brave. You have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. Interesting. You move through spaces of any creature that's size higher than yours. You can so instead of being blocked on a space, any creature that is larger than you, you can move through that space.
Yep. So you're in D&D. Most races are considered medium. Most playable races are considered medium size category medium.
And these ones are
anything
small.
large or bigger, you could move through their space without.
I think these creatures are technically small, so you can move through a medium. We'll have to check as it
I
says.
don't remember.
We'll have to check on that. But once again, that's really
That's
cool.
what the books are for.
We're learning. I didn't know that they had this ability called Lucky. So, and I've been playing the game for about 4 years. And you've been playing for about 3, right? No, I've been playing for about 5 actually. Since I was 15, no 14, and I'm 21, about to be 22. So a lot of years. 7 years. Wow.
I've been playing since 2016, so 3-4 years now.
Yeah. Wow. They can read and write Common and Halfling, so they have their own language. But their language isn't a secret, so meaning most people will probably know your language, or they have the ability to learn your language. Okay, so we picked Lightfoot. So, and they also have Naturally Stealthy as another thing, besides that +1 to Charisma. You can attempt to hide even when you are obscured.
When you creature that is at least one size larger than you. So you could hide in a large creature space.
That's interesting. So, if you're scared in battle, you're a little healer. You're like, what do I do? You could just hide behind someone's leg and call it a day. Oh, he's dead. Well, I'm gonna hide inside of his stomach. You ever watch Star Wars? That's what he's doing. He's cold. So as we go on to that, now we're gonna go to classes. As you look, do you know what page it is?
Classes after.
Okay, classes start on page 45. So if you're doing this with us, you can join us. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So do we have a D12?
Yep.
So we're going to be using a D12. Attempting it. That is a 9.
So there's Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard.
So if we go from 9, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to be a rogue today.
Oh boy.
Stealth. Even though we're going on a rogue, we're going to go through each class and talk about them a little bit for you guys. First one we have is a Barbarian. Barbarians are known for their brute strength in battle. They are heavy hitters. Whew, are they heavy? They're not known for the heaviest sets of armor, usually.
They're not known for wearing any armor.
Yeah. Don't they have natural defenses?
Yeah, they get unarmored defense where they can add their strength modifier, or is it constitution?
One of the two. So, Barbarians have their own abilities and their own effects. So if you want more of a hack and slash without armor, Barbarians are more of your thing. Especially if you want more of a health tank than an armor tank.
Yep.
Barbarians are definitely it.
Barbarians are the only class that gets a D12 as their hit die.
So that's very good. So as we go on to it, they get abilities like Rage. They're a very interesting class to use, and my personal opinion, one of the easier classes to start playing the game with.
Yeah, Barbarian or Fighter are probably the two easiest to start with if you're
new to the game.
If you really don't want to dip into any magic or anything.
And now we're moving on to the Bard. To me, the Bard is the easiest magic using class. For the fact that they use a lot of cantrips and they don't have to worry about spell slots. For the fact that I'll just use cantrip after cantrip. Bards are really cool. They're instrument-based casting, meaning, let's say your character wants to cast a spell, you could snap your fingers. Because you're snapping your fingers, there's an audible noise, meaning you cast your spell. So, charisma casters, like sorcerers, they have to say their spells. Meaning if somebody bounds their mouth, they can't cast. Where if I hum as a bard, I still can cast my spells. Leading you to being a little bit more utility. Only bad thing is, a lot of your cantrips aren't that heavy damaging for the fact of you're not meant to be, you're more of a support character. So if you like helping people out in battle, Bard's definitely the character for
Yep.
you.
They tend to be a buffer utility.
They're definitely not bad, though. I hope that was made clear, that they're definitely not a bad class. Then we have clerics. Clerics are, in my personal opinion, one of my favorite classes. They are healing.
And they don't just have to be a healer. You can make a cleric that is
It's very
built for
tanky.
battle.
Very tanky. They can take a lot of damage and make a lot of damage. And also, even those type of characters like a little bit of healing so they can heal themselves
Yep.
in battle.
If you get access to a healing spell, you at least want one, so you can heal yourself.
Once again, one of the bigger healing classes. You also have Bard that can heal. As we go on, I'll mention which ones that can heal and can't heal for the magical casters, at least. So yeah, Cleric is a really good class. If you want the more strength-based character where you're able to smash things but still able to be learning about magic, I would say this is a really good starting one too. For the fact that support is the easiest type of magic, in my personal opinion. There's a lot that comes with Cleric.
Yeah, clerics have the second highest amount of subclasses, I believe, right behind the wizard.
Then there's Druid. Druid is all about nature and the elements.
Druid is a fairly complicated class, so if you're building your first character, I would not recommend Druid. I made that mistake.
Druids are a lot of fun, but really time consuming to say the least. They can shapeshift, they can cast spells, or they can really heal, or be a mixture of all three. Druids are jack of all trades. If you know the game, amazing. If you don't drown yourself. It's not worth it.
It's a lot of information to take in at once.
Then we move into Fighter. To be honest, this is newbie heaven. You want to learn the game, you want to smack some things and deal some massive damage, this is your class. If you want to start learning magic at level 3, you can pick Arcane Knight and start having some fun. If you want to be more that heavy hitter, they have definitely things that allow you to do that. And if you want to play more defensive, they have that
They have
too.
a defensive base, they have a...
They pretty much have everything you would need in a class. This is definitely for those people, and even you'll see veterans play this, and newbies play it for the fact that it is one of the most versatile out of all the classes, in my personal opinion, because there's so many different things you can do.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast did a poll recently of what the most common character race and class combinations were.
Human fighter.
Human Fighter was the most popular.
Oh, you have something in here.
Yep, that's a bookmark because I use monk features a lot.
So now we move into Monk. If you like hand-to-hand combat, being a little bit squishy, but be able to burst a watermelon by just looking at it,
Yep.
this is your class.
You're a glass cannon.
You have natural armor. What is it called again? That exact one.
I'm blanking on it. It's unarmored defense.
Unarmored defense. Thank you.
Monks get to add their wisdom modifier to their armor class. Their wisdom modifier and their dex modifier to armor class.
So that makes them pretty decent, but not once again, not the healthiest. But oh boy, do they deal that damage. So now we move on to Paladin, my personal favorite. They are a mixture between a fighter and a cleric.
Yep.
They're charisma-based casters. They heal, deal magical spell damage, and can also enchant their weapons with magical properties. They have a special ability called Lay on Hands, where 1 times their paladin level, they can heal
5
somebody.
times their...
Yeah, 5 times their paladin level. They get this thing called Lay on Hands, and they can heal people. It's a touch spell, and it's really cool. They're more of the utility healer, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, their spells don't tend to get used for healing. You tend to use your spells for smite.
Unless you're me, who makes a paladin healer. I don't know why I like them. They're a lot of fun. Because I'm still able to smash things pretty hard, with still having the aspect of, if my teammates need me, I'm a secondary healer. Some games I was forced to be the main healer. It was a little difficult, but I did it. Then we have Ranger. Ranger is your archer, your bowsmans.
Tend to be mostly pictured as someone with a bow, but you can build...
2 dual-wielding ones, you can build one-handed weapon ones. You're kind of...
Anything can be built, but what you want to, really. Just some ways will be harder than others, but almost anything can be built.
This class is really cool for the fact if you're able to have a pet.
If you
pick a certain...
with one subclass, yeah, you can have the Beastmaster Ranger can make can have a animal companion.
So it's pretty cool. Once again, if you're a little bit new, I recommend staying a little bit farther away from that because you have to keep track of 2 health, then 2 damage, 2 turns. Once again, some DMs will be really cool if you're a newer player and just have you take your turn on their turn to make it a little bit easier. Okay, so that moves on to that. I think this class is really close to the class that we'll be making as the Rogue.
There are some overlaps.
Then we move on to the Rogue. I'm gonna move on from this because this is the one where we're spending the most time on.
Yep. So we'll come back to the Rogue.
Yep. So then we move on to the Sorcerer. He is your charisma-based caster. Big AoE damage with magical spells. And oh boy, does he hit hard. He's really cool. A lot of different things you can do with a Sorcerer that you can't do with other casters. But at the same time, they can be very limited.
Yeah.
They have their utility. And they have a different way of casting. Once again, one of the harder ones, but I would say Wizard's probably the hardest out of the casters.
Yes and no. I've found my Wizard to be pretty easy. You just gotta work to get your spells, and because you can look as a Wizard, you can learn all your spells as long as you find spell scrolls to inscribe them into your spellbook.
Yep.
Have access to them all.
My personal opinion, one of the weirdest casters that we have in the game.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a weird one if you're newer, yeah, Warlock, because you only get up to 2 spell slots, and that's it. But you always cast them at the highest level you can. At a certain level, you'll start getting 1 spell slot for higher spells, but those still have very specific rules to them, so it's complicated.
a lot of the cantrips again. A lot of cantrips.
Your favorite phrase will be, "I cast Eldritch Blast."
Or Vicious Mockery, one of the 2. Eldritch Blast, it doesn't miss, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. You can.
Or is that Magic Missile?
Magic Missile is the one.
That's
it. It's an auto hit. Eldritch Blast, Warlocks can modify Eldritch Blast. They can make it make double the range on it. They can make it so when you hit with your Eldritch Blast, it will push them 10 feet or even pull them 10 feet closer.
You can manipulate how it hits.
Yeah.
And that once again makes it very utility and very nice.
That's the thing, Warlocks.
You pull it into the Barbarian, let the Barbarian smack. Then move on to Wizard. Wizard's your typical Wizard, to be honest.
Yep.
It's very magic based. A lot of spells.
You have a spell book that you fill up with spells, and that you can.
You're gonna want a lot of knowledge and a lot of sit down time to figure out all your spells.
It takes a long time to inscribe spells.
It also takes a long time to kind of know your spells off the bat. Like, there's so many little tiny things about spells in this game that make them amazing. Don't get me wrong, there's a spell called Catapult. You can break it.
Anything 10 pounds or less, you can pick up and throw 90 feet.
Higher spell slots, the more weight.
Yep. And then one fun concept I've thought of is you get eight wizards to cast both in reduce and enlarge on a creature to make it category monstrosity, and then reduced down to tiny so you can throw it with catapult and then release the reduces.
And now you have a Tarrasque.
Then you have a giant falling on a city.
Or the character that we're using being 40 pounds, well, you're throwing an army of us. So as we move on to the next thing, that's the last class. So at this point, guys, because we're reaching a little bit of a time frame, we're going to cut to the next video now. So if you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, to talk about it. If you have any questions for us, leave them in the comments. I'll make sure he checks it out so that way he can answer some questions too, so it's not just on me. It's Darren from the Deep Sea Haven saying peace, and chicken grease. I hopefully you enjoyed.